So, students, this is about pregnancy and embryonic development. So, implantation takes place by the trophoblast cells of the growing embryo. After implantation, a finger-like projections or many finger-like projections appear on the trophoblast called chorionic villi, because we know that extra embryonic membranes and embryonic membranes, then uterine vessels. Okay, so interdigitation takes place between the chorion, which is the outer layer of the growing embryo, because we have four kinds of extra embryonic membrane: chorion, amnion, allantois, and yolk sac. So chorion will be differentiated as chorionic villi, which are surrounded by uterine tissue and maternal blood. The chorionic villi and uterine tissue becomes interdigitated with each other and jointly form a structural and functional unit between the developing embryo, that is fetus, and the maternal body is called placenta. So what is a placenta? Placenta is the interdigitation of chorionic villi, which is the extra embryonic membrane, is differentiated from the trophoblast cells and the uterine tissue. The interdigitation of chorionic villi of extra embryonic membrane and maternal blood cells, that is uterine tissue, is called as placenta. The placenta facilitates the supply of oxygen and nutrients to the embryo, and also removal of carbon dioxide and excretory waste materials produced by the embryo. The placenta is connected to the embryo through an umbilical cord, which helps in the transport of substances to and from the embryo. So placenta is communicated with the fetus by the help of umbilical cord. Umbilical cord is helpful for the transport of substances to the embryo and from the embryo. Placenta also acts as an endocrine tissue and produces several hormones like human chorionic gonadotropin (HCG), which is the main hormone and is characterized by the initiation of pregnancy. That the level of hormone, the presence of hormone human chorionic gonadotropin is very much crucial for the detection of pregnancy. And human placental lactogen, another, that is lactogen, which is first stimulated by placenta and enter into the bloodstream, which is reaches the mammary lobes and mammary gland for the activation of milk synthesis. So the activation of milk synthesis is first triggered by the hormone human placental lactogen, which is synthesized from placenta. So placenta development will be stimulate the synthesis of milk. So this is mediated by human placental lactogen, as well as estrogen and progestogens. Progestogens are the class of hormones which is the progesterone, which is a major hormone from progestogens. These are helpful for maintenance of pregnancy and development of the growing fetus, and estrogen is also helpful for the differentiation of and maturation of these mammary glands. In the later phase of pregnancy, a hormone called relaxin is also secreted by the ovary. So ovary synthesize estrogen, progesterone, relaxin. Okay, so the relaxin hormone is synthesized from the ovary. Let us remember that HCG and SPL and relaxin are produced in women only during pregnancy. So these hormones are characteristics of pregnancy. If only pregnancy occur, then only these hormones levels will be increased in many more folds. So in addition, during pregnancy, the levels of other hormones like estrogen, progestogens, cortisol, prolactin, thyroxine, etc. are also increased in several folds in the maternal blood. So these levels of hormones will be increased. So increased production of these hormones is essential for supporting the fetal growth, metabolic changes in the mother, and maintenance of the pregnancy. So students, look to the diagram given here 3.12. The human fetus within the uterus. So it is clearly observed that Placental villi, which is the chorionic villi, is interdigited with the uterine tissue of the mother endometrium. So the cavity of uterus in red lines. Yolk sac, which is the extra embryonic membrane helpful for the nourishment for few couple of days. Embryo is the growing embryo is inside that, and umbilical cord which connected to placenta to make the placenta. Okay, so the plug of mucus in the cervix is deposited to isolate from the surrounding. So immediately after the implantation, the inner cell mass of the embryo differentiate into an outer layer called ectoderm and inner layer called endoderm and a mesoderm soon appears between the ectoderm and endoderm. So we discussed there are two types of cells: the inside cells, that is inner cell mass, and the peripheral trophoblast. Trophoblast are the part of extraembryonic membrane and inner cell mass are the part of embryonic membranes. So embryonic membranes contains, as we are triploblastic organisms, so we have ectoderm, outer ectoderm, middle mesoderm and internal endoderm. So ectoderm and endoderm will be first synthesized and mesoderm will be differentiated in between ectoderm and endoderm. So these three layers give rise to all tissues organs in adults. It needs to be mentioned here that the inner cell mass contains certain cells called stem cells, which have the potential to give rise all the tissues and organs. So as we discussed many more times, we all are differentiated from a single celled zygote. Okay. So the inner cell mass contains stem cells, and these stem cells are differentiated into different types of tissues, and these different tissues are then mature to different kinds of organ system and organs. So what are the major features of embryonic development at various months of pregnancy? This is the crucial fact that how development takes place in succeeding months. The human pregnancy lasts 9 months. Do you know for how many months pregnancy lasts in dogs, elephants and cats? This is homework for you. That means the gestation period of dogs, elephants and cats are how many months? So find out these three gestation periods and send me. In human beings, after 1 month of pregnancy, the embryo's heart is formed. So heart is first characterized by at the end of development of 1 month. The first sign of growing fetus may be noticed by listening to the heart sound carefully through the stethoscope. So the successful implantation and differentiation of the growing embryo will be detected with the help of stethoscope. The heart sound will be detected after 1 month because heart is formed during the 1 month, first month. By the end of second month of pregnancy, the fetus develops limbs and digits. So limbs are differentiated. By the end of 12th week, that is first trimester, most of the major organ systems are formed. For example, the limbs and external genital organs are well developed. The first movements of the fetus and appearance of hairs on the head and usually observing during the 5th month. So during the 5th month, hairs are clearly observing in the head region. By the end of about 24th week, that is the second trimester, 6 months after the pregnancy, the body is covered with fine hairs, eyelids that separates and eyelashes are formed. By the end of 9 months of pregnancy, the fetus is fully developed and is ready for delivery. So these are subsequent events that are helpful for the differentiation of the mature embryo from the growing embryo and then forming the full fetus. So after the succeeding months, different types of developments are seen in the growing embryo, and finally at the end of 9 months, the growing embryo is completely matured, the fetus, and it is ready for delivery, which is called parturition.